I've mentioned to you, I come across the subjects kind of randomly. And what I'm going to talk about today happened, I'm a Santa Fe retiree, and we have a birthday luncheon once a month. And at the birthday luncheon this month, someone casually said to me, you know, the Gainesville Garden Club is celebrating its 100th anniversary this year. I said, what? 100 years? Because I'm always on the lookout for the oldest building, the oldest civic clubs, whatever. Turns out the Gainesville Garden Club is one of them. And so I'd like to tell you a little bit about it and what it's done today. It was founded in 1924 by 8 women with a mandate to do garden research and city beautification. And it took off like a rocket. In 1927, it became a member of the Florida Federation of Garden Clubs. And by 1930, over 100 people had applied to be members. And that's when the circles began. Those of you who know the garden club know that there are 5 or 6 different garden clubs here. But in 1930, they had so many people who wanted to join that they founded the first 4 circles, which were the Founders Circle, the Camellia Circle, the Azalea Circle, and the Oleander Circle, proving that they all know Florida by 1930. And during the Depression, the Garden Club continued to meet and be active in lots of civic affairs. By the end of the 1930s, they had collaborated with several other city groups to create what they called the Gainesville Community Culture Center. And a number of the groups used their culture center and library for various meetings. In the 1940s, they grew remarkably, and they branched into collaborating with city planners on various kinds of beautification projects. And they also, of course, did World War II activities. They collaborated with the Bolton Center for various kinds of things. But in the 1950s, something unusual happened. By the mid-1950s, they had shifted their mission a little bit and had begun to focus on the notion of conservation and public education about conservation and the environment. And one of the people who served on the Garden Club board in the mid-1950s was Marjorie Carr. And in 1957, she mobilized the Gainesville Garden Club on a project that I didn't know about. Like many people, I knew about her second project, which was that she looked at Payne's Prairie and recognized how key it was to the ecology of this area. And she pushed the Garden Club board into spearheading a lobbying effort to have the state buy the land. And in 1958, the Gainesville Garden Club effort was successful under pressure from the Garden Club ladies, as the legislature called them. The state actually bought Paynes Prairie, and the Garden Club continued to be active over the issue of Paynes Prairie. And in 1970, they succeeded in having Paynes Prairie become the first Florida wildlife sanctuary in the entire state. In the middle of the 1960s, one of the Garden Club board members said to Marjorie Carr, "You know, they're building a canal across the state, and they're already as far as Putnam County. And this is a really bad idea." And so once again, the Gainesville Garden Club board became the point people for fighting the Cross Florida Barge Canal. And every time you drive by the Marjorie Carr Greenway now, think about the fact that Marjorie Carr's army was the Gainesville Garden Club. And that was the beginning of the efforts not just to beautify the city of Gainesville and conserve our land, but to protect the Ocklawaha River and its entire watershed. And in 1968, having sort of spearheaded that and become famous for it, a garden club member donated 4 acres of land to the Gainesville Garden Club, and that is where the Gainesville Garden Center is today. In the 1990s, the Garden Club had expanded to such a degree that the Garden Club built a smaller building on the Garden Club land so they could expand the library, the meeting space, and all of those things. But if you have never been out to the garden center or seen it, it's a wonderful events place. And the Garden Club remains active in many of the fields that Marjorie Carr set them on. And we have a more exalted state history for the Gainesville Garden Club than I had ever guessed. So when you see the Garden Club, don't just think little old ladies with camellias. Think Marjorie Carr and Paynes Prairie.
Thank you. I had no idea that legislative and lobbying history. That's fascinating. Yeah.